For decades, flying cars have been confined to the realms of Hollywood and futuristic dreams. But now, technology is shattering those boundaries. Watch this jaw-dropping video of an electric flying car.
When we think of what life will be like in the future, the dream that is the most classic, and perhaps even most cliché, is the flying car.
Imagine pulling up to your garage, stepping into what looks like a regular vehicle, and then literally flying over traffic jams to reach your destination in minutes instead of hours. That fantasy just became reality, and it costs less than most luxury cars on the market today. China has just unveiled something that's sending shockwaves through the transportation industry. A fully functional flying car priced at an incredible $4,999. Yes, you heard that right. While the rest of the world is still debating whether flying cars will ever exist.
The X2 is a flying car made by Chinese electric vehicle company Xpeng. It took center stage at a launch event in Dublin.
Chinese engineers have not only built one, but made it affordable enough for ordinary people to consider buying. This isn't some far-off concept or flashy prototype designed to grab headlines. This is a certified, tested, ready-to-fly machine that can cruise through the air at 80 miles per hour for up to 25 minutes on a single charge. But here's what nobody saw coming: the price point that could literally put flying cars in every driveway. The question isn't whether this technology works anymore. The question is whether our cities, our laws, and our entire transportation system are ready for what's about to happen next. Because when flying cars become cheaper than most people's annual car payments, everything changes. Meet the machine that's rewriting the rules of travel. So what exactly are we looking at here? This revolutionary vehicle isn't coming from some unknown startup working out of a garage. It's the brainchild of Xpeng X2, the aviation wing of one of China's leading electric vehicle manufacturers. They call it the X2, and it's unlike anything you've seen before. Picture this. Instead of wheels touching asphalt, 8 powerful rotors lift you straight up into the sky. No runway needed, no complex taxi procedures, just pure vertical takeoff that gets you airborne in seconds. The X2 measures roughly 17 feet in both length and width, about the size of a compact SUV, but weighs only 680 kilograms, making it surprisingly nimble in the air. Here's where it gets interesting. The entire aircraft is constructed using aerospace-grade aluminum for the frame, wrapped in lightweight carbon fiber. It's the same materials you'd find in million-dollar private jets, but engineered for mass production at a fraction of the cost. Each of those 8 rotors operates independently, meaning if one fails, the other 7 keep you safely in the air. But the real breakthrough isn't just in the engineering, it's in the user experience. Remember struggling with complicated car GPS systems? The X2 throws all that out the window. You literally press a button, tell it where you want to go, and the onboard AI handles everything else. Takeoff, navigation, obstacle avoidance, and landing, all automated. The cockpit gives you a panoramic view that makes helicopter rides look claustrophobic. Large windows wrap around the passenger compartment, offering an unobstructed view of the world below. Inside, a floating holographic display shows your flight path, altitude, and destination in real time, but it's designed so simply that even your grandmother could figure it out. And here's something that'll blow your mind. This thing can literally fit in your garage. When you're done flying, it folds down to the size of a large car and rolls on small wheels. No special hangars, no airport storage fees, no complicated logistics. Just park it next to your regular car and plug it in to charge overnight. But talk is cheap, right? Anyone can build a prototype and make wild claims. The real test came in 2022 when Xpeng decided to put their money where their mouth was in the most public way possible. Picture the glittering skyline of Dubai, one of the world's most futuristic cities, where the impossible seems to happen every day. Against this backdrop, Xpeng arranged something that had never been done before. A fully public demonstration of their flying car, broadcast live to audiences around the world. This wasn't some carefully controlled test in a remote facility. This was right out in the open, near the famous Palm Jumeirah, with 150 invited guests watching every moment. Representatives from the Chinese consulate, Dubai's Chamber of Commerce, aviation authorities, and international media all had front-row seats to witness history. The Dubai Civil Aviation Authority didn't just rubber stamp this event either. They required Xpeng to complete exhaustive safety assessments, risk mitigation plans, and operational manuals before giving the green light. Every possible scenario was analyzed, every backup system was tested, every emergency procedure was rehearsed. When the moment finally arrived, the X2 didn't just fly, it soared. Lifting off smoothly and silently,
well, the car of the future took flight today. The X2 flying car, there it is, took off in an unmanned test flight in Dubai.
It traced graceful arcs through the Dubai sky while cameras captured every second. No dramatic engine roars, no billowing smoke, just pure electric power carrying a machine that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. Hassan al-Hashimi, Dubai's acting director general of Chambers, said something that day that perfectly captured what everyone was thinking. This isn't just about technology anymore. This is about fundamentally changing how human beings move through space. The flight lasted just minutes, but its impact will be felt for decades. Because in that moment, flying cars went from fantasy to documented reality, witnessed by officials, recorded by cameras, and proven beyond any doubt. From prototype to production, the moment, everything changed. Here's where the story takes a turn that even the most optimistic futurists didn't see coming. In 2023, something happened that changed the entire conversation around flying cars forever. The X2 became the first manned electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicle to receive official flight certification in China. Not experimental approval, not limited testing permission. Full certification from the Civil Aviation Administration of China for actual commercial operation. Think about what that means for a moment. Government aviation authorities, the same people who take years to approve new seat designs for commercial airlines, looked at this flying car and said, "Yes, this is safe enough for regular people to use." But this certification was just one piece of a much larger puzzle that's been quietly taking shape across China. They call it the low-altitude economy, and it's about to become a trillion-dollar industry that most people have never even heard of. Imagine an entire economic ecosystem built around the airspace between the ground and 1,000 meters up. Not just flying cars, but delivery drones, aerial taxis, emergency response vehicles, agricultural aircraft, and surveillance systems, all sharing the same sky. China predicts this market alone will be worth 3.5 trillion yuan by 2035. That's not just ambitious, it's revolutionary. We're talking about creating an entirely new layer of economic activity, literally above our heads. And unlike previous transportation revolutions that took decades to unfold, this one is being accelerated by artificial intelligence, advanced battery technology, and manufacturing capabilities that didn't exist even 5 years ago. The certification of the X2 wasn't just approval for one vehicle. It was China announcing to the world that they're ready to commercialize the skies themselves. Just when you thought Xpeng had shown their hand completely, they pulled out something that makes the X2 look conservative by comparison. In 2024, they unveiled what they call the land aircraft carrier, and it's exactly as crazy as it sounds. Imagine a vehicle that's part SUV, part aircraft hangar, and part mobile launch platform all rolled into one. This isn't just a flying car, it's a flying car that lives inside another car until you need it to fly. The base vehicle looks like something from a cyberpunk movie. 6 wheels, 3 axles, and a body that's part Tesla Cybertruck, part armored personnel carrier. It's 5.5 meters long and runs on an 800-volt electric platform that can travel up to 1,000 kilometers on a single charge. But here's the kicker. Stored in the cargo area is a completely separate aircraft that can unfold, take off, and fly autonomously. When you need to fly, the process is almost magical. The rear of the vehicle opens up, 6 arms unfold with rotors attached, and within 4 minutes, you have a fully functional aircraft ready for takeoff. The entire sequence is automated, controlled by the same AI systems that handle the flight itself. But wait, it gets better. When the aircraft lands back on the carrier, it automatically docks and begins charging. The high-voltage system can recharge the flying module from 30% to 80% in just 18 minutes. That means you could potentially make 5 or 6 short flights without ever plugging into an external power source. Think about the implications here. You could drive to the edge of a traffic jam, deploy your aircraft, fly over the congestion, land on the other side, dock the aircraft, and continue driving. Or respond to an emergency by flying directly to the scene while your ground vehicle navigates to the nearest safe landing zone. This isn't just transportation anymore. It's logistics, emergency response, and personal mobility all combined into one incredible machine. Real-world applications that could save lives. But let's step back from the cool factor for a moment and talk about why this actually matters. Because while flying cars sound like expensive toys for rich people, the real applications could literally save lives every single day. Picture this scenario. Somewhere in a major city, a child has a severe allergic reaction. The nearest hospital is 20 minutes away by car, but there's a massive traffic jam blocking every route. With traditional transportation, those 20 minutes could stretch to an hour or more. With a flying car, it's a straight line through the air, maybe 6 or 7 minutes total. Or consider natural disasters. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, thousands of people were stranded on rooftops.
As if we needed reminding, even after 10 years, how terrible Katrina really was.
With no way for rescue teams to reach them quickly. Flying cars could have changed that equation completely, turning every emergency responder into a potential pilot capable of reaching otherwise inaccessible areas. The land aircraft carrier takes this even further. Imagine emergency response teams that can drive to the edge of a disaster zone, then deploy aircraft to reach victims trapped in areas where roads don't exist or have been destroyed. The same vehicle that brought supplies and equipment to the staging area can then fly those resources directly to where they're needed most. Urban search and rescue operations could be revolutionized. Instead of spending hours trying to navigate through rubble and debris, response teams could survey the entire area from above, identify survivors, and then land precisely where help is needed. Medical transport is another game changer. Rural areas with limited hospital access could suddenly have aircraft capable of flying critical patients to advanced care facilities. The same vehicle that serves as a local ambulance could also serve as an air ambulance when time is the difference between life and death. But it's not just about emergencies. Think about the daily impact on urban congestion, air pollution, and quality of life. When significant numbers of commuters can literally fly over traffic instead of sitting in it, the entire transportation ecosystem changes. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room: money. Because at $4,999, we're not just talking about a new mode of transportation. We're talking about potentially the most disruptive pricing strategy in automotive history. To put this in perspective, the average new car in America costs around $48,000. A decent motorcycle runs $15,000 to $20,000, $25,000. High-end electric scooters can cost $5,000 or more. So a fully functional flying car at $4,999 isn't just competitive. It's potentially cheaper than most people's current transportation options. But here's where it gets really interesting. Traditional car ownership involves much more than just the purchase price. Insurance, fuel, maintenance, parking, registration fees, it all adds up to thousands of dollars per year. Flying cars could actually reduce many of these costs. No fuel costs, just electricity. No oil changes, transmission repairs, or most of the mechanical maintenance that traditional cars require. No parking fees in expensive urban areas because you can land in spaces that cars can't reach. Potentially lower insurance costs because the AI-controlled flight systems eliminate most opportunities for human error. The economic impact extends far beyond individual ownership, though. Ride-sharing companies are already expressing interest in aerial taxi services. Imagine summoning an Uber that picks you up from your office rooftop and drops you off at the airport in 5 minutes, instead of fighting through an hour of traffic. Delivery services could be revolutionized overnight. Instead of trucks struggling through congested streets, packages could fly directly from distribution centers to customers' homes. The same aircraft that delivers your morning coffee could transport medical supplies to hospitals by afternoon. Real estate values could shift dramatically. Suddenly, properties that are currently considered remote or inaccessible could become prime real estate because distance becomes less relevant when you can fly. Conversely, properties that are valuable primarily because of their proximity to transportation hubs might lose some of that premium. The infrastructure challenge nobody's talking about. But before we get too carried away with flying car fantasies, let's address the massive infrastructure challenges that nobody wants to discuss publicly. Our current transportation system took over a century to develop. Roads, traffic lights, gas stations, parking structures, maintenance facilities, driver education programs, insurance systems, law enforcement protocols. It's an incredibly complex ecosystem that we take for granted. Flying cars need their own version of all of this, and we're starting from scratch. Air traffic control systems designed for large commercial aircraft flying predetermined routes aren't equipped to handle thousands of small vehicles taking off and landing from random locations throughout a city. New radar systems, communication protocols, and automated traffic management systems will need to be developed and deployed. Landing zones need to be established and maintained. Unlike roads that can handle different types of vehicles, aircraft need specific types of surfaces, clear approach paths, and safety equipment. Every apartment building, office complex, and shopping center would potentially need its own mini airport. Weather monitoring becomes critical in ways that most people don't consider. A car can drive through light rain or snow with minimal impact. Aircraft, especially small electric ones, face much more significant challenges from weather conditions. Real-time weather monitoring, flight path adjustments, and emergency landing protocols all become essential infrastructure components. Maintenance and inspection requirements for aircraft are far more stringent than for cars. Every flying car will need regular certified inspections, and the mechanics working on them will need specialized training and certification. This creates an entirely new industry of specialized technicians and service facilities. Emergency response protocols need to be completely reimagined. When a car breaks down, you call a tow truck. When an aircraft has problems in flight, the response requirements are far more complex and time-sensitive. Perhaps the biggest challenge facing flying cars isn't technical, it's regulatory. Aviation is one of the most heavily regulated industries in the world, and for good reason. When things go wrong in the air, the consequences are typically far more severe than ground-based accidents. Currently, flying the X2 requires a pilot's license, just like any other aircraft. But if flying cars are going to become mainstream transportation, that requirement would need to change dramatically. Training and certifying millions of new pilots isn't realistic or economically viable. The solution is full automation, aircraft that can fly themselves without human intervention. But autonomous flight presents its own regulatory challenges. How do you certify software to make life or death decisions? What happens when the AI encounters a situation it wasn't programmed to handle? Who's legally responsible when an autonomous aircraft makes a mistake? Airspace management becomes incredibly complex when you multiply the number of aircraft by thousands or tens of thousands. Commercial airlines follow carefully planned routes managed by air traffic control. But flying cars need the flexibility to travel from any point A to any point B, potentially creating millions of possible flight paths through the same airspace. Noise regulations could be a major limiting factor. Even though electric aircraft are quieter than traditional helicopters, they're not silent. Multiply that by hundreds or thousands of flights per day over residential areas, and you have a potential public relations nightmare. Insurance companies are still trying to figure out how to assess and price the risks associated with flying cars. Traditional auto insurance doesn't cover flight-related incidents, and aviation insurance is currently designed for professional pilots operating certified aircraft under strict regulatory oversight. International regulations add another layer of complexity. A flying car certified in China might not be legal to operate in the United States or Europe. Harmonizing safety standards, pilot requirements, and operational procedures across different countries could take years or decades. The competition that's heating up globally. While Xpeng has grabbed headlines with their aggressive pricing and rapid development timeline, they're not alone in this race. The flying car industry is attracting massive investment and serious competition from around the world. In the United States, companies like Joby Aviation and Lilium are developing their own versions of electric aircraft designed for urban transportation. Their approach differs from Xpeng's in important ways, focusing more on ride-sharing services rather than individual ownership and targeting higher price points with more advanced capabilities. European companies are taking yet another approach, emphasizing safety certifications and regulatory compliance over rapid market entry. They're working closely with aviation authorities to establish the regulatory framework that will govern the entire industry. Traditional aerospace companies aren't ignoring this trend either. Boeing, Airbus, and other major manufacturers are developing their own electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, bringing decades of aviation experience and established relationships with regulators. Even traditional automakers are getting involved. Toyota, Hyundai, and General Motors have all announced flying car development programs, recognizing that the boundary between automobiles and aircraft is beginning to blur. The competition is driving rapid innovation across multiple dimensions. Battery technology, autonomous flight systems, manufacturing techniques, and user interfaces are all advancing at unprecedented speeds. But Xpeng's aggressive pricing strategy has forced everyone else to reconsider their assumptions about what flying cars should cost and who should be able to afford them. The $4,999 that momentum upward. The X2's successful flight shows China isn't just participating, it's aiming to lead the future of air mobility. And this isn't just a test. It's proof that flying vehicles are becoming real. They look good, they perform well, and they open doors to a new way of moving. Whether it's for urgent travel or a peaceful ride above the chaos, this isn't just about innovation. It's about reimagining everyday journeys, all without fuel, traffic, or compromise. Xpeng X2, a leap from sci-fi to sky reality. It may look like something out of a futuristic film, but the Xpeng X2 is very real, and it's already flying. For those tired of traffic jams or excited about breakthrough tech, this could be the next big thing in personal travel. The X2 comes with two options: manual mode for those who want full control, and autonomous mode for a completely hands-free experience. And this isn't just a fancy promise. The autonomous feature has already proven itself during a public demonstration in Dubai, where the vehicle passed every required safety and performance check. This wasn't a closed-door test flight. With Palm Jumeirah as the stunning backdrop, the X2 took off from Skydive Dubai in front of over 150 guests, including top officials and business leaders from both China and the UAE. Dubai, a global hub for innovation, was the perfect launchpad. The city's Civil Aviation Authority granted Xpeng a special flying permit only after rigorous risk assessments were completed. Proof that this isn't just hype, it's a verified step toward a new mode of travel. Xpeng Vice Chairman Brian Gu praised Dubai as a place where daring ideas meet real-world execution. Hassan Al-Hashimi of the Dubai Chamber of Commerce described the X2 as more than just a flying machine. It represents bold thinking and the drive to shape the future of mobility. What many don't know is that Xpeng Aero HT has been working on flying vehicles since 2013. Over the years, they've quietly refined their designs in multiple research centers across China. While much of the world debated the feasibility of flying cars, Xpeng stayed focused on making them real. Their first public flight was back in 2022, also in Dubai. Since then, they've steadily moved from experimental stages to real-world readiness. Now, Xpeng plans to open orders for the X2 by the end of the year.
Chinese EV maker Xpeng posted record revenue and narrower losses in the fourth quarter, bringing it closer to its goal of turning profitable this year.
While the exact price hasn't been revealed, anticipation is already sky-high, and for good reason. Excitement isn't limited to engineers or investors anymore. Everyday people are starting to imagine what it would be like to lift off from their driveway and land at work, no traffic involved. What began as a bold tech concept is now gaining real traction. After Xpeng X2's eye-catching flight in Dubai and growing international interest, it's clear this is more than just a flashy idea. It's a glimpse into what may come next. This isn't simply about beating traffic. It's a reimagination of how we get from one place to another. Vehicles like the X2 are pushing boundaries, turning science fiction into something we could soon rely on in real life. In the coming decades, flying transport may be as common as ride-hailing apps are today. In China, this vision is already taking shape. A new sector called the low-altitude economy is emerging, focused on services that operate below 3,000 meters, like flying taxis, cargo drones, air ambulances, and even sightseeing flights. With massive government support, this industry is expected to explode, reaching over 1 trillion yuan, about $138 billion, by 2026. Already, more than 26 provinces are developing plans to include aerial systems in daily use, from emergency deliveries to urban air mobility. Of course, there are still challenges. Flight routes, traffic control, safety standards, and regulations are all being developed in real time. The sky isn't quite ready yet, but that's not stopping innovators. Companies like Xpeng, Ahang, and Aerofugia are moving fast, turning once impossible ideas into working systems and pushing for national frameworks to support safe, practical flying tech. Sure, the thought of cruising hundreds of meters in the air inside a compact aircraft can be intimidating. But with the pace of advancement, this reality is quickly coming into focus. Consider a real-world example. In Shanghai, a drone recently replaced an overnight ferry by flying a shipment of seafood from an offshore site. The journey took just 3 hours, delivering the cargo fresher and faster than ever before. And this breakthrough isn't just great news for seafood fans. It shows that flying at lower altitudes can actually be a smarter, cleaner, and faster way to move goods. Today's drones aren't limited to hobby use. They range from small consumer gadgets to large commercial aircraft and are already handling a wide range of tasks, from package delivery to transporting people. Their impact is already being felt across industries. High-end restaurants, for example, are beginning to rely on drones to receive fresh ingredients more quickly and reliably than ever before. The role of flying cars in this new airspace. Vehicles like the Xpeng X2 are expected to follow a similar path as drones. What began as eye-catching demonstrations could soon become everyday tools. Just as drones have cut down delivery times and brought services to hard-to-reach places, flying cars may do the same for passengers, especially in cities choked by traffic. With slower growth in traditional markets like real estate, China is looking upward, literally, to fuel its next economic chapter. The country's push into the low-altitude sector is about more than just cool technology. It's a broader plan to reshape transportation, boost trade, and redesign city planning around the airspace above our streets. Flying cars are central to that goal. They're still in the early phases, but if drones can already outperform trucks and ships in certain cases, passenger aircraft like the X2 might be next to prove their value. Things really started to move when Chinese aviation officials relaxed rules on flights below 300 meters. That one policy change opened the door for a rush of drone innovation. Drones began doing everything from spraying crops on farms to filming weddings in mountain villages, real applications that are becoming part of daily life. And this isn't just local governments experimenting with tech. China's national leadership is fully backing this new sector. The low-altitude economy has already reached a value of 56 billion yuan, and in 2021 alone, it recorded growth of over 30%. This rapid progress didn't happen by chance. That same year, China officially designated the low-altitude sector as a key focus for national development. The effects were quick and noticeable. In just 5 years, business participation in the field increased by over 30%. By 2023, the industry had already generated around 500 billion yuan, approximately $70 billion US. And the outlook is even more ambitious. By 2030, it's projected to reach a massive 2 trillion yuan. One reason for this surge? Relaxed airspace regulations. With more operational freedom, businesses jumped in to explore new possibilities, like air tours over major cities, scenic flights, and premium helicopter experiences for urban dwellers seeking a break from daily routines. But beyond numbers and innovation, it's people who truly drive this shift. Take Kwai Si-tong, a university student who booked a ride in the same aircraft she had seen on a hit TV drama. For her, it wasn't just a flight, it marked a personal breakthrough after a tough time. Stories like hers show how this technology resonates with people's lives, not just industries. In rural regions, the impact is even more practical. Locally made drones are now used for tasks like crop spraying, helping solve labor shortages in agriculture. Some drone operators have turned it into a profitable career, earning more than 300,000 yuan annually. Sustainability is also at the forefront. With its strong lead in electric vehicles, China now aims to replicate that success in the sky. The push for electric aircraft is not just about innovation, it's about reducing noise and pollution too. To support this, a full ecosystem is quickly forming, covering everything from advanced flight software to domestic aviation parts. This wave of progress makes one thing clear. Flying cars are no longer just fantasy. When drones are already handling farming, deliveries, and leisure rides, personal air vehicles don't seem so far behind. In fact, they're already here. China's debut of its first flying car made headlines, not just for its capabilities, but for its price. At only $4,999, it's far more accessible than anyone expected. At a high-profile unveiling attended by top officials, including President Xi, China made its stance crystal clear. It's aiming to lead the future of air mobility. The spotlight was on the SkyDrive X5, a vehicle that blends the best of both worlds. It rolls like a car but can lift vertically and cruise through the sky, thanks to its retractable wings. With a top speed of 150 miles per hour and a flight range of 200 miles on a single charge, the X5 isn't just for show, it's built to perform. Even more surprising is the price. Unlike traditional aircraft that only the wealthy can afford, this vehicle is designed to be accessible. If scaled properly, it could change how city dwellers get from place to place, flying above traffic instead of crawling through it. While many nations are still caught up in discussions about regulation and feasibility, China is already putting plans into action. It's building a low-altitude travel system that's both practical and forward-looking. These next-gen aircraft, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles EVTOLs.
This is no ordinary aircraft. It's an electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicle, or EVTOL, and it could have a major impact on the aviation industry.
Operate more like oversized passenger drones. They're quieter, cleaner, and more cost-efficient than helicopters, making them ideal for city environments. Their electric engines produce significantly fewer emissions and far less noise, addressing two major urban concerns at once. EVTOLs are shaping up to be more than just cool tech. They offer a real solution to urban congestion and pollution. with energy use reduced by about 60% and emissions cut by up to 90% compared to traditional choppers, they're well suited to the needs of fast-growing cities. So, what do they look like? Imagine a large drone with space for people, no runway needed. It lifts off, flies across the city, and lands vertically. Compared to helicopters, it's simpler, quieter, and much more affordable. As one executive put it, the leap from helicopters to EVTOLs is like switching from a gas guzzler to a sleek electric car. What makes these vehicles even more appealing is their low maintenance. With fewer mechanical parts and an all-electric system, they're easier to manage and more sustainable in the long run. Leading the charge is Shenzhen, a major tech hub in Guangdong province. Known as the birthplace of drone powerhouse DJI, the city is now positioning itself as a pioneer in flying mobility. Local governments are not just watching, they're investing, launching test flights, and preparing the skies for everyday aerial commuting. Shenzhen is leading a big, coordinated push to create a new way of travel. By focusing on green technology and fresh ideas, the city wants to set an example for how future urban areas can embrace flying vehicles. You could call it a quiet revolution happening high above us. A major milestone came when Autoflight's Prosperity aircraft flew across the sea from Shenzhen to Zhuhai. What normally takes a 2-hour car ride was done in just 20 minutes. Even better, a ticket costs about 300 yuan, much cheaper than a typical helicopter ride. What makes this really exciting is the cost to run these electric flying vehicles. It's only around 15% of what helicopters require. This means flying taxis could soon be as affordable as ordering a ride on your phone. The idea of skipping traffic jams by taking a quick flight is no longer just science fiction. It's becoming a real choice for commuters. A key player in this space is EHang. They aren't just making flying cars. They've also earned official approval from China's Aviation Authority for their 2-seat EVTOL. This certification shows the world these vehicles are safe and ready to operate. Recently, EHang demonstrated a pilotless flight, proving how close we are to having fully automated flying taxis. With more than 1,200 orders from around the world, the company expects these air taxis to be in everyday use within 5 years. That said, there are still challenges. Battery technology hasn't quite caught up yet, limiting how far and long these vehicles can fly. This is a big obstacle for an industry aiming to replace long car or train trips. Safety is another major focus. These flying cars need thorough testing to make sure they perform perfectly when people's lives depend on them. Regulators are taking things slowly and carefully to ensure everything is up to standard. Most experts agree that flying electric taxis, or EVTOLs, won't become common until around 2035. But that extra time is actually a good thing. It allows makers to improve their designs and show that their vehicles are safe and dependable. It also gives cities time to get ready, both in the skies and on the ground. Even with the hurdles ahead, investments are flooding in. Over 85% of China's funding for low-altitude flight goes directly into EVTOL projects. This isn't just a passing trend, it's a serious focus. Venture capital is rushing toward this fast-growing field. Companies like Aerofugia and Volant Aerotech are attracting a lot of money, and major electric car makers are jumping in too. For example, Xpeng Motors created a new branch, Xpeng X2, which plans to start making EVTOLs by 2026. They aim to price these vehicles around 2 million yuan, pricey, but still cheaper than most private helicopters. With this financial backing, China is pushing quickly toward a future where flying cars are not only for the super rich or movies, but a real option for city travel. China isn't rushing the process. Officials have set up a careful safety-first plan. It begins with flying goods in less crowded suburban areas. This helps companies collect useful data, increase flight experience, and build trust before flying people in busy cities. A great example of this approach is Autoflight's Prosperity EVTOL. which recently flew 70 kilometers over the sea from Shenzhen to Zhuhai without any passengers. The trip, which would normally take 2 hours by car, was completed in just 20 minutes. This shows how cargo flights are a smart first step in a bigger plan. Regulators know they must be cautious with public safety. By taking it slow and steady, they hope this new technology will earn people's confidence before becoming part of everyday urban travel. Even with strong funding and government support, winning the public's trust remains a big challenge. People need to believe that flying cars aren't just futuristic ideas, but are safe and practical to use. That's where influencers like Jala help. Through his videos and stories, he connects everyday viewers with the technology in a way that feels real and understandable. By breaking down complicated technology into easy-to-understand posts, he's helping regular people see how everyday flying travel could work without feeling confused or overwhelmed. Though it might seem small, this kind of sharing is crucial for turning flying cars from a futuristic idea, something only big tech leaders might do, into something people actually consider using. Even with China pushing hard into the EVTOL market, there's still some debate. Is this new tech truly developed at home, or is China mostly adopting inventions from elsewhere? Record-setting flights and official approvals. While questions about safety, rules, and infrastructure remain, Chinese companies are quietly making real progress in bringing flying vehicles to life. Autoflight, for example, has completed successful test trips between major cities, proving the technology works beyond just concepts or prototypes. EHang is a standout in this field. It made history by becoming the first Chinese company to earn a national airworthiness certificate for its pilotless two-seat aircraft. This official approval isn't just a formality. It shows regulators trust EHang's tech enough to carry people safely around cities. What sets EHang apart is more than government backing. It's how the vehicle is designed. These drone-like flying cars are made for short city rides without a human pilot on board. This isn't just a cost-cutting move. It's meant to avoid pilot errors, lower training needs, and reduce running expenses. Think of it as calling a rideshare, but instead of driving through streets, you lift off and get a bird's-eye view on your way to work. The interest is already huge. With over 1,200 orders from buyers worldwide, EHang is betting that flying taxis will soon be as common as booking an Uber. Instead of getting stuck in traffic, passengers will soar above it. Instead of horns honking behind you, you'll hear the quiet buzz of rotors overhead. Another exciting development is the AirCar, which is about to get licensed for production in China. Zhang Shan, a rising aerospace entrepreneur, has won the rights to build and operate this Slovakian invention in a Chinese region. Unlike EVTOLs, the AirCar needs a runway. It can't take off vertically from rooftops just yet. Even without the sci-fi style of vertical flight, it still plays an important part in China's bigger vision, turning the sky into a new way to commute. China's interest in the AirCar, even with its traditional runway needs, says a lot about their approach. It's not just about cool gadgets or futuristic looks. The goal is to build a complete air travel system. China aims to lead in every part of the air mobility world, whether that's drones, EVTOLs, or runway-based flying cars like the AirCar. This isn't just a gimmick. Back in 2021, the AirCar, powered by a BMW engine, successfully flew for 35 minutes between 2 airports in Slovakia. It can switch from driving mode to flying mode in just over 2 minutes, faster than most people park their cars. Meanwhile, companies like EHang are moving beyond test flights. They're making deals. EHang partnered with Xpeng Tourism to help bring flying cars into travel experiences, showing how this tech could soon be part of everyday life. China's ability to move quickly plays a big role here. Aviation expert Steve Wright points out that Western countries are slowed down by years of strict rules that don't fit new technology well, like trying to put a VHS tape into a streaming service. China faces fewer old rules, which gives it a big advantage. The big question is whether China can repeat its success with electric cars in the flying car market. Electric vehicles were once rare, but now China leads globally with the highest number on the road. The same strategy could work with flying cars. Buying foreign tech like the AirCar doesn't mean China lacks innovation. Instead, it shows skill in spotting smart ideas, acquiring them, and scaling production. This is a smart strategy, not theft. China already leads in drones and battery technology. Combined with a focus on safety, this sets the stage for dominating air travel. Though the AirCar needs runways, China's bigger plan is to bring together many types of flying vehicles. Investments cover everything from city EVTOLs to longer-range flying cars. Local governments, especially in places like Guangdong, home to drone leader DJI, are backing this with strong support for testing, infrastructure, and research. Making flying cars affordable is part of the plan. Companies like Autoflight want to offer short trips at prices similar to ride-hailing apps. Since these aircraft cost only about 15% of what it takes to run a helicopter, they could become accessible for everyday use, not just a luxury for the wealthy. This is no longer just a story about China. Flying cars are becoming more affordable and advanced, catching the attention of the whole world. This isn't just about zooming over one city. It could transform how we deal with traffic everywhere. While you might not have a flying car in your driveway just yet, they're rapidly moving from dreams to reality. What about you? Would you take a ride in one? Share your thoughts below.